Please be seated.
So we'll have the cavalry also escorting him. So they are all just preparing to take their position, and then the official procession will take place. That in your short are the pall bearers. The bearer party, they actually carry the corpse or the casket, yes. So that's the bearer party, and it consists of an officer, a warrant officer, or an NCO. And it's normally 8 bearers, and the rank depends on the person that is being laid in state. And being a high-profile personality, we having only warrant officers, class 1 and class 2, to carry our ex-president. So they are all just shaking up, and then we can officially start the procession. And you realize that the casket is draped in the Ghana flag. That tells you that it's a national burial. If we could recall, during the burial of His Excellency Kofi Annan, when the casket was brought down, it was in the UN colors. And then the UN colors were removed and draped with the Ghana colors. So that is why the casket is also draped in our flag, red, gold, green. And now we have the pallbearers. They will escort the body as it moves. In some jurisdictions, the pallbearers carry the casket. So the pallbearers can play dual role. They can help in carrying the casket or escort it. In the Ghana Armed Forces, the pallbearers will escort it, whilst the bearer party carry the casket, as we are seeing now. you have some personalities presenting arms. It's a form of compliment or greeting. In the military, we use the term compliment. So they are paying compliment to our former commander-in-chief, even as the casket is moved to be placed on the gun carriage. Everything has been rehearsed, and so every group in the procession know what they are supposed to do. So these have been rehearsed.
It's a very solemn occasion. It's full of significance and pageantry.
These are some of the unique situations around institutions. If you see situations like this, and you see how orderly it is moved, look at how the casket was lifted, and then look at how
they've even lifted their hands.
Their hands. Everything rehearsed, an indication that this is an organized group, and it is so beautiful to see them.
And then they all took off their headgear as a mark of respect for what is happening now.
Mm-hmm. I see that his hat and his sword are still on the casket.
Exactly.
At some point in time, they will be removed, right?
Yes, eventually they would be at the cemetery.
Okay.
So even the wearing of the headgear, even the removal of the headgear, everything is rehearsed, so it's so orderly, so that it looks very solemn and then professional.
So, Kafi, this is about the end.
Indeed.
Of former President Jerry Rawlings' 73 years on earth. This is the beginning of the closure of 73 years. Because after a few hours, when the casket is put in the belly of the earth, it means that he has finished his 73 years. And now the journey is up to his, from here to his maker.
Then we have the firing party. They are also taking their position at the cemetery. They'll be firing the volleys, the 3 volleys. So they are taking their position, and if you see that they have reversed the weapon. Normally we carry the weapon properly to fight, but we are mourning, so the weapon has been reversed. A sign of no time for us to fight. For now, we are giving every respect and every respect to our former president. This is the police force. They are also adding some gymnastics to the whole program to make it very solemn and then
entertaining.
Entertaining at the same time, even though it's not an entertaining occasion. Yeah. So they're just adding something to what
color
to the whole program.
Yeah. I saw a horse that had no rider.
Exactly.
On it, and I'm sure at the right time you will tell me exactly what it means.
Yes, you will do that. And that is a riderless horse, a horse without a rider. You know, our former president loved horse riding. So today we needed to get that horse as part of the procession to tell the whole world that this is a passion for our president that we have not forgotten, that we wish to acknowledge it today. So like you said, at the right time, I'll give further details on that.
So it means that now they have started the journey from here to the cemetery.
Exactly.
That's the horse. That's the riderless horse. There.
Yes. Yeah. That's a riderless horse. Okay, let me say something a little about it. The riding boots have been turned to face backwards. A rider wears the boot and face forward. But okay, let me now. I would like to go through the order of procession once again. We'll have the escort, we'll have the firing party, the band and the drum, with the body on the gun carriage, with the pallbearers escorting it, and then we'll have the insignia bearers, we'll have chief mourners, we'll have the president's special representative, then we have mourners in uniform in order of seniority, then mourners not in uniform, then the rest, and then we have the rear detachment as well as the motor cars. This is to ensure that every mourner knows where he or she must stand in the procession, to make sure that everything is orderly. So we have the cavalry, and then we have the motorcade by the police, the gun carriage, and for the pallbearers, the officers with the sword.
Yes.
The sword has also been reversed. Normally a sword is drawn vertically, but it has been reversed as part of the mourning process. So they are the pallbearers. They are also there to provide extra security as well as escort the casket to the cemetery. And because we are talking about the president and the commander-in-chief, these are high-ranking officers of a colonel, minimum a colonel and above.
Commander Ahen, can you give us a sense of...
Just a minute, wrong. These ones are brigadier generals.
Okay.
Very, very senior officers. So they're brigadier generals.
Is that what you refer to as a one-star general?
That's a one-star general and above, because we are talking about the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Can you just give us a sense of the route that they'll take for this procession, which will finally end up at the military cemetery?
Okay.
For those who are just joining us right now, the funeral service is over and there's a procession out of the Black Star Square. Where will they be going?
All right. Listening to the commentary on the ground, there was a slight change, but the original plan that I have here is from the Independence Square through to Osu Castle Road, then the Ridge Roundabout, Kojo Thompson Road, to Circle, Nima Police Station, then to Gifford Road, through 37 to Bema Camp Road, Mahama Road, and then we'll branch off to the cemetery. So those are the major streets that the cortege will be moving through before we get to the cemetery.
And what is the significance of this procession through some streets of Accra?
Thank you. You know that our president is the president of this nation, and it's impossible to have every Ghanaian come here. And so the procession is to allow for loved ones, one, to wave and to show their last respect. However, we also have what we call street lining. We'll have our personnel line the street that is going to be used to pay their last compliment to our commander-in-chief. Additionally, our former commander-in-chief also lived in some of these localities. So it's to afford the general public a viewing and also to say a farewell to all of us.
It's obvious that a lot of thought has gone into today's ceremony, and it's rich with symbolism and significance.
Exactly. One thing with the military, that every program that we undertake, we take time to plan the minutest detail and also have backups in case one fails, another one is in. Now we have the helicopter escort. Our president was a pilot, and so the helicopters are also there as part of the escort through to the cemetery. And so then the procession with the soldiers along the line, along the route. That practice is known as the route lining, the street lining. And it has so many advantages. One, it tells the cortege exactly where they are passing. It also provides security for the cortege as they move, and will appeal to the public not to crisscross them, allow the cortege to move through solemnly. And at every point, the soldiers will pay the appropriate compliments as the cortege passes by.
This is one long, slow march to the cemetery.
At a point in time, they will move into vehicles to make the movement a bit faster.
Okay. I see the riderless horse leading the 4 other horses. And the dignitaries are now exiting the Black Star Square, bringing to an end the first part of today's ceremony.
And the wreath bearers are also getting ready to carry the wreath to the cemetery. And I believe you agree with me that they're also playing a very significant role. We have people detailed for this, so that we do not get there and say, where are the wreaths? So everything is orderly. So they're also packing the wreaths. They will be put into a vehicle and they'll join the procession and send it to the cemetery.
It appears that they are all air women.
Yes.
Yes.
Our former commander-in-chief was an Air Force officer, so it's just appropriate that we allow the Air Force to play that role. But there are other roles where you have other, the Army and the Navy also playing some roles.
And it's an all-female contingent.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, he was very strong on gender issues as well, and giving women a chance to do their things. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was during his tenure that more and more women were also enlisted and recruited to the armed forces. So on a day like this, it's just appropriate that we feature both the men and the women playing their complementary roles in the Ghana Armed Forces.
So I'm just curious though, how often is it that officers of this high rank get to march? You know, it's a lieutenant, brigadier generals marching. It's not a rare. It's not a common occurrence, is it?
It's not a common occurrence, because I think it's the second time we are losing a commander-in-chief.
Indeed.
So it doesn't often happen.
Indeed.
Because where they have gotten to,
They don't march.
They don't.
Yeah.
They may, under some circumstances, maybe when there's a national parade, they may.
Okay.
But it's not something they do routinely.
Indeed.
From a brigadier general, no.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an exceptional occasion.
Of course. And I see the flags are all at half-mast for today. Yeah.
And that is a mark of mourning, state mourning or national mourning. So we are all in the state of mourning. And that is a street lining or route lining. So the personnel are all in a solemn mood. Their weapons stand downwards with their hands on it and their face downwards. They are all mourning. That is what it signifies.
Kafu, you were talking about gender,
Yes.
gender role. Then I would want to draw your attention to the fact that Commander Veronica Ahen is a gender policy advisor to the office of the Chief of Defense Staff. So he is in the office of Lieutenant General Obed Boama Abba as a gender policy advisor. So it means the military is abreast of this and they know the role of women and making sure that they are not left out of it. So it should not surprise you that all gender carrying the wreaths. It doesn't mean that wreath carrying is for women. But this one, they said, look, this is a man, that wife was in charge of women's movement, 31st December women's movement. So if he is finished, and the wife's tribute, she acknowledged the role, the support that got from the former president. He said he gave me all the opportunity to go ahead, and any time at all there were confusion around projects, when even others were saying that she was disturbing them in the regions, he said, you have my blessing, go ahead. And 31st December women's movement was a success. It created economy for women across the country.
Thank you. I'm pleased to have our commander here with us on the Veronica. And if I were in the army, I would have been saluting her left, right, and center. Yeah, but I can just give you a nod here for the good work you're doing here for us and instructing us, teaching us about some of these things, traditions in the military that civilians would not know about. So I'm grateful to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to serve.
But you know that the military, they just principled. You remember one thing that has just stuck in my mind. He said, you should know that this is a church. So stay where you are. If you don't know and you do, I will invite the military police around you. So even in this environment, he wants to tell you that, look, you don't take it that it's a church hall or it's a church and so you can misbehave. He says, stay where you are. Don't cross. If not so, the military police will be invited around you. And I like the word around you. When the military police come around you, where will you pass?
In trouble.
And that's the Armed Forces Central Band also displaying as part of the procession.
I wouldn't normally associate the color pink with the army. So I was wondering, who are these men with pink neck scarves and
They are
pink
from
around
5 Infantry Battalion at Bemakam, 5BN.
I see.
Yes. We have a lot of nice colors.
Yes, this is some serious hot pink, man. Hot pink in the army is great.
Commander Veronica, he says they have some very nice colors.
Yeah.
Nice colors.
I was pleasantly surprised,
really?
to see pink, hot pink on
that's 5BN.
on camouflage.
That's 5BN.
All right.
I think it's therefore instructive that after all we have now had an open day in the military. That we now open the barracks for civilian population to move in there, and they're starting with the kids. When we were growing, kids were made to.
Let me just cut in briefly. We have the quad bikes, and these are also soldiers, and they are leading the procession. It's just to give additional security and protection for the funeral procession. And so either by the front, the rear, or the sides, security is covered.
Number one.
Yes, for the procession. Please.
For soldiers, everything they do, they want to show you that we have force. If we want to show strength, we can show strength at any point in time. You understand? And I was talking about this open day at the barracks. For example, anytime at all anybody is misbehaving, parents will tell you, police will come for you. So you create an impression that police are there to do something that is not civil and that is untoward. But we need to walk away from that and get children, even at their growing age, at tender ages, they would want to be police. They would want to be soldiers. See, because that is only at that time that we can get the human resource that we need. Now there's military, they have all the other professions in there.
I agree. I agree. It's such a beautiful shot, with the Independence Arch, and then all these uniformed men and women marching, very, very ceremonially. Yeah. It's a beautiful picture.
So the 5BN, they are the firing party that will be firing at the cemetery. They'll be firing the 3 volleys. So we'll see them also display there.
But we normally look at the color pink, a feminine color. We normally see the color pink as feminine color, and that is supposed to be love and kind. And then the 5BN that will be firing mortars at the cemetery are using pink.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the color. But they will be at the cemetery to fire the 21 gun salute.
No, they are firing the volleys. The 21 gun salute will be fired by the artillery. They use heavy weapons. What you normally call guns, we call them weapons. Those are the rifles.
Those are
yes.
Okay.
So the personnel from 5BN will be firing the small rifles, and that is the volley. And then we will have the artillery fire the 21 gun salute, which is a salute for only presidents. So that one is also different, but both will be happening at different times at the cemetery. Yes.
For a long time, President Rawlings operated from the castle. So the procession is moving in the area of his former workplace. This is quite symbolic.
Exactly.
Yeah. In case you just joined us, this is the burial procession following the burial service for former President Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, which took place at the Independence Square, Accra. That has been done, and this is the journey that finally takes him to the military cemetery where his remains will be interred. And so the cortege is being taken through principal streets of Accra. They have just left the Independence Square area and heading towards the Osu area. I can imagine those in story buildings coming out to take a look and wave
and take pictures.
Yes, and wave bye-bye to the president for the last time. And this is his daughter's constituency.
That is the daughter's constituency.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
Dr. Zaneto
Rawlings.
Yes, yeah. Klote Kole constituency. So.
The band is gradually filing off, and then they will be conveyed with the vehicle eventually to the cemetery. And the fire party is still in the procession. And I'm Commander Veronica Ajo Ahen, the Gender Policy Advisor to the Chief of the Defense Staff, and I'm in the commentary box with
Gabriel Bosompem, and
my name is Kafui Day, and I'm learning a lot today and enjoying your company, Commander. And should I give you honorable? Gabriel Bosompem. It's enough, eh?
Yeah, that is enough.
I believe our former president has left a number of legacies, but one that I would like to touch on is service to our nation and service to humanity. we are at a time where people are in a hurry to get rich overnight. They're not ready to sacrifice a little for the nation. If for nothing at all, let's all remember that Ghana is the only country we have, and we have to do everything possible to ensure that it develops